All right.
And welcome to 30-Minute War. We are live across multiple platforms. We are currently live on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. So, welcome to the 30-Minute War, including the dog. Hello, dog.
That's
And
Gizmo. Gizmo may make a few appearances on 30-Minute War from time to time.
Yeah, hope y'all enjoy the show. We're about to talk some Ohio State and Michigan football, and let's get into this.
Woo!
So definitely you've got you guys talking about some fall camp battles here. I mean, I'm sure that you're, looking at the Big Ten, there's a lot of teams that have some interesting fall camp battles, but none other than Michigan and Ohio State, because they're usually the two best teams in the Big Ten, as they've been the last 10 years for the very least. So I guess you guys just go into it, don't go too crazy or whatever, but Michigan, Ohio State's a heated rivalry, but still definitely can talk some fall camp battles. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Jeffrey. Obviously, we've been looking at fall camp the last couple of weeks on Michigan Wolverines Live, which is the show I host every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on Voice of College Football. So we've been looking at it. My debate partner has a lot more to say on this topic, because we really only have cornerback number 2 and wide receiver in the slot as the two starting positions that are like the big question marks right now. But cornerback number 2 has been a battle in fall camp. My prediction is that Josh Wallace, who came in here from UMass, might actually be the winner in week 1. I think that with 140 tackles at UMass, 28 pass breakups, he had a 71.2 coverage grade from Pro Football Focus. That blows pretty much everybody else on the list out of the water. So I think that for game 1, unless someone else just crushes it in fall camp, McBurrows maybe. Amarian Walker's injured, so I think he's out, at least for game 1. So I think you're looking at Josh Wallace from the Fighting Don Browns as your cornerback number 2, which, I think that next to Will Johnson, who really emerged last year, I think that that'll be a solid choice against the East Carolina Pirates. You also have wide receiver 3. So I think it's a pretty foregone conclusion to almost anybody who's watching this that Cornelius Johnson and Roman Wilson are going to be the starting X and Z receivers. I think it's just that's just how it's going to be. But the slot receiver is still up for debate. And so you've got really 2 choices here: Tyler Morris and Darius Clemens. Yes, there's Peyton O'Leary. Yes, there's Frederick Moore. There are others, but Tyler Morris played with J.J. McCarthy in high school. They called each other Mufasa and Simba. Okay, they are tight. And so Tyler Morris in the slot position is very possible. But Darius Clemens has had moments, especially in the spring game, not this year, but last year, that he looked really good. He didn't see a ton of targets, just 2 as a true freshman. I think that Morris, personally, and some disagree. Sports Illustrated disagrees with me here. And even some people who I've talked to who are Michigan insiders. I just think that based on their history, that Tyler Morris will get the start. But even if Clemens does, I think they're pretty solid in that position. Running back 3, the other one I'll mention, there's a lot, but those are the kind of 3 key ones, because those are the ones that you're going to be seeing the most, I think. You've got here, CJ Stokes, Khalil Mullings, Cole Cabana, but Ben Hall really did separate himself in the spring game and led the team. He had 96 rushing yards in the spring game. He was compared to another guy you guys might remember, Hassan Haskins, who Mike Hart, if Mike Hart is comparing you to Hassan Haskins, that's pretty high praise. I think that you're going to see him win the job for running back 3. You're going to see CJ Stokes is going to be the warm body that if nobody else is available, CJ Stokes can be the warm body at running back. Cole Cabana maybe the backup to the backup to the backup. And Khalil Mullings is going to be that hammering panda, get 1 yard. Maybe he might throw the football again because that was fun. And so I'd say those are the 3 kind of key positions that you're gonna see in the first couple of weeks. And those battles, knowing Harbaugh, could go in to the game, like game 1, 2, and 3. There are some others like center, but I think center is pretty solidified with the Stanford transfer. And so those are the 3 that I think are still kind of up in the air.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks like Michigan has a lot of depth, which is always good if you're wanting to be able to be a championship level team. Competition always makes players better, and it looks like Michigan is in great shape. Like you said as well, K. McNamara and J.J. McCarthy went to the season last year, so definitely Jim Harbaugh likes to have competition go into the season, which is really smart for sure. So you got, for Buckeye Mike and the Ohio State Buckeyes, what fall camp battles are you looking at for the Buckeyes on defense and on offense? And do you feel like that there's going to be a lot of depth all around for the Buckeyes this year?
So for me, the biggest one that I think everyone's paying attention to or trying to is definitely the quarterback position. I think based on the fact that Marvin Harrison and Kyle McCord went to high school together, they also have the same kind of connection, so to speak. I think that does help give McCord an edge for sure. And I think that I think McCord eventually will win the starting job. It's just a matter of how long will he keep it, because I do think that there is the big possibility of him losing it eventually. And then I know there's a big question on the offensive line. And so there have recently been changes because originally it started with Josh Fryer, Josh Simmons, Tegra Shabola, and freshman Luke Montgomery. And then last Friday, the first team line consisted of Donovan Jackson, Matt Jones, and Carson Heinzman on the interior, with Simmons on the left tackle and Fryer on the right tackle. So that tells me that Fryer, the transfer from San Diego State, came in and basically just took over with impressing the coaching staff. And so he's already getting first team reps. And yes, in my personal opinion, I do think Brown should win the job, but there's just too much leaning in Kyle McCord's favor. The fact that he did play last year, the year before, one game, and the whole, like I said, the connection with Marvin Harrison helped him in his favor in a sense. Yeah. Am I missing any?
I mean, it sounds pretty good to me. I mean,
Yeah,
Kyle McCord's the big one. I mean, I think that he will start, though. Like, basically, everyone's saying that, even in the chat. I mean, he's going to probably start because of the fact he's got the more experience, but that definitely does not mean that your job is safe. You have to keep improving as much as possible, because look at K. McNamara. He eventually lost the job at Michigan. The same thing that happened to Kyle McCord at Ohio State for sure.
Yeah, and you can't take. I mean, I know that like Menace to Sports was saying that Devin Brown's going to be the starter because he's been hearing things. But I think that the conventional wisdom here, if you go back to recruiting and you go back to the fact that they chose McCord over J.J. McCarthy in the recruiting battle, they went with him in terms of favoring his recruitment. I think it would take a lot for Brown to get the job snap one, game one. But especially because he missed spring. But as I've said on the other Buckeye Mike show, I think that your route to potentially beating Michigan is losing to Notre Dame, benching Kyle McCord, bringing in Devin Brown, and he just lights it up, and then the defenses just don't know what to do because they have to either factor in his running ability, the pass, read option comes into play then. So I think all that's possible there.
Yeah, I think most likely it sounds like it's going to be like McCord gets Indiana, Brown gets Youngstown State. They both split Western Kentucky, and then your de facto starter will get Notre Dame.
I mean, the thing is that would be bad on whoever has to play against Indiana, because I think Indiana is a little tougher than Youngstown State.
I think you might be right, Jeffrey.
Give him a little credit.
I'll give you a little. I mean, I think that's a true statement.
So I guess if you guys finished with the fall camp battles.
Yep.
So
sounds good. So I guess the next topic for both of you guys is best